What's up, guys? Welcome to the Crypto Savvy channel. I'm Craig, and we are going to go over the charts as usual. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Dow, the DXY, gold, silver, and then finally, of course, Bitcoin. We're going to take a look at the levels we would have to break before I would even think about getting bullish in the macro. I know a lot of people are really expecting the bottom is in. I do not think that. I have not seen my bottom targets that we've had for well over a year on this channel. We have been tracking this market perfectly. And if you want to track it with us, make sure you subscribe to the channel, scroll down, smash those thumbs up. That helps the YouTube algorithm get these videos out to more people. Also, leave your comments down below and tick your notification bells to get you notified when I post new videos. And if you would, one more thing you can do is share this video if you belong to any groups or chats or just whatever. Just share the video in there, get it out there if you enjoy the content. Let's get into it. So as of making this video, the markets will probably be open by the time this gets out, but as of right now, it is, at the time of making this video, 9:07. The Dow is up 29 points, S&P up 9, and NASDAQ up 47. Take a look at the Dow. So we've been looking at this hidden bearish divergence. We're getting higher highs in the RSI, lower highs in the price action. You guys know my targets, my first targets. I have much lower targets. We'll talk about that as it plays out. So make sure you watch every video. A lot of people say your videos are the same. Well, that's because the charts haven't changed and they are playing out exactly as we have expected. But if you don't watch every video, you're not going to learn and you're not going to be tracking the market like we do. If you watch every video, you're going to get, there will be certain days, certain things will pop up. You'll learn how to spot those. That's what this channel is about. This channel is not about telling you what to do, telling you when to long, telling you when to short, telling you when to buy, telling you when to sell. We are tracking the markets. The decisions are up to you what to do with the information you're learning, and hopefully you are learning. So anyways, we talked about this hidden bearish divergence. Now, if it breaks the 33,271 area, now this is the Dow, we could come back up to retest this trend line. That would be obviously one more bullish pump for Bitcoin. If we do break that level, the next point of resistance is this 34,000 point range. I don't see it getting back above that, but if it does, then you could possibly see pop up here, get support, and then the bottom is in, the bull run is continuing. But until then, I see nothing in the charts telling me that anything is bullish. There are points to watch, and we're going to look at that. I know a lot of people just put out there daily, they'll be, bullish one day and then bearish the next on the macro. Now you can do smaller time frames and use these same techniques in any time frame, and it will help you judge where the market's going. First, we're looking at the macro and then the micro. So I do expect more downside here, but there is the possibility we get up to this range. And even if we do, we would go from these highs over here and we would still be making hidden bearish divergence. So be careful with that. The DXY. So the DXY, as of right now, you guys know I do have a target up here of at 107, but I think the DXY goes much higher. I have a target up here at 112. I've been bullish on the DXY. I've talked about the DXY for about 2 years when I started watching the DXY against Bitcoin, right? And I was bullish. Everybody else was bearish on it, and we can see what happened. Now let's take a look at the large time frame. Let's go into the monthly, and I'll show you what I have here. So this is the monthly time frame, right? We broke out of this huge falling wedge right here, and we have a target of that all the way up to the 172 to 186 range, which will just barely break the all-time high. I do think there's a good possibility we get up to this range in the next few years. A lot of people say that's a long way, it looks impossible, but you can see what happens when the dollar really moves. This was from the actual bottom here all the way to the top was from 78 to 85. So that was about 8 years, right? But from this bottom here was 80 to 85. That was, so if we look here, this last bottom was 08. So if we went to, well, that was 08 till now was what, 24 years. So again, when this really takes off, it takes off in a big way. So this is a very good possibility here. The DXY, you're looking at our parabola, however you want to pronounce it here. We got our bounce right where we expected. Now, if we break this line, then we can start looking at the bullish scenario for the stock markets and Bitcoin. But unless we break this, there's no reason at all to be macro bullish. Gold. You guys know my gold chart. This is about a year old. I'm looking for 1561, possibly much lower. But if this plays out the way I believe to, we've pretty much topped out here at the 55 EMA. And again, looking for that divergence. If you guys are interested in a little cheat sheet for divergence, my wife's webpage is inkyorimage.com. There's a link down below. Check it out. She sells divergence mouse pad cheat sheets. So it'll be right there by your computer. Great idea to have the info right next to you. Divergence was one of the hardest, most confusing things to learn. So definitely check it out. Anyways, back to where we're at. You guys know my targets right here. If we look at this, let me make this line a little bit thicker so you can see higher highs in the price action, or I'm sorry, in the RSI, lower highs in the price action. That's hidden bearish divergence. We could get all the way up to this 1840 range again and still be making hidden bearish divergence. So that's something you need to watch for. And a lot of people say, you know, if you watch TV and you see a lot of commercials, buy gold, buy silver, protect your money, hedge against inflation, blah, blah, blah. We see that in every recession or every downturn in the market, and gold and silver and Bitcoin always follow the markets down. If gold's going to go up so high and silver's going to go up so high, why are they selling it? Why are they putting on commercials and selling it? Just something to think about. The only thing that goes up in a true bear market recession is the dollar. Check it for yourself. I've made videos on it in the past. I try to explain the stuff. People say Crypto Savvy is so negative. I am not negative. I have been telling you where this whole thing has been headed. And if you played it right, you could have made a lot of money, or at the very least saved a lot of money, instead of buying the tops with all the moon boys and things like that. So what I am is positive. I am giving you positive information to use to make more money, but choose to see it however you wish. But anyway, that's like I said, this chart's about a year old. Silver chart's a year old too. My targets here is 15.5. As you guys know, this was our first target once we broke over here back in July of 21. We hit it in July of 22. So 1 year we made that target. Now this is our resistance. We continue to the downside to the 1550, 1560 range, possibly much lower. It could go all the way down and retest these lows. And if that breaks, whoa. But anyways, same thing in here. This hidden bearish divergence. We are making lower highs in the price action, higher highs in the RSI. That is hidden bearish divergence. All right, so macro, the monthly resistance is our 55 EMA right here at 24,560. As long as we're below that, there is no reason to be bullish, in my opinion. If this was to break and we open and close a monthly above that, 31 to 32,000 is the highest I see. Although I think we see lower lows. 2 days ago, I made a video in depth about where I think this is at and where it's going. We're also going to take a look at my Amazon chart that I made on December 21st, December 2nd on 2020. It was, yeah, December 2nd, 2021. Go check that video. It's actually playing if you open up my YouTube page, where I warned about all this. I was the first one to start talking about the Amazon to Bitcoin comparison chart. And I'm going to show you at the end of the video where I think we're at on that. So make sure you stick around for that. Also, again, make sure you smash those likes and comment. That helps YouTube get the video out to more people, and that really helps the channel out. So anyways, let's look at where we're at here. So you guys know if you've been watching, this is the weekly chart. Our target when we broke here, we talked about it way up here in April. If we broke this area here on the bottom, our target was 25.6. Bam, we nailed it. Then once we got in here, I told you once we broke this 30,000 again up in this flag, we made another bear flag. Then our target, and I started calling that back in May. And then boom, sure enough, in June, we nailed that target. We expected a bounce. We got a bounce. We're doing the same type thing here. Now, if this was to break this week, which is, I mean, it's possible. So if it broke this week, be around 20,000. If it breaks at 20,000, comes back up, tested for resistance, and continues down, we have a target of 14.7. But of course, if we look in the smaller time frames, 17.5 is the area we're going to watch. But I'm going to show you why I think it's possible that we go down to 17.5. Everyone expects a bounce because they think that was the bottom, and we don't get a bounce. And I'll show you why here in the charts coming up. Here's another weekly chart. So if, this is the weekly. So if we look at this on the weekly, right, these are fib channels I've drawn in here that are major support and resistance lines throughout Bitcoin's trend. I know a lot of Bitcoin people think that Bitcoin only goes up. Well, guys, it's only what, 12 years old, 13 years old tops. And it's only seen a bull market in traditional markets. Traditional markets are turning very bearish, in my opinion. Bitcoin, and I've said this for years, Bitcoin will not be able to handle a true traditional bear market, which I think we are starting. Now, that doesn't mean we don't get little pumps up, and, you know, the overall macro is bearish. Right now, looking at this trend line on the month or the weekly, our fib level resistance is 25. Now, that doesn't mean we can't wick above a little bit before coming down. But that weekly resistance, if we get a weekly open and close above 25, I will start to look for that $28,000 to $31,000 target. But until then, I don't see any reason to look for that until we get validation. And all we're getting validation of is major resistance and more downside. And down here, I have the next fib level. If I'm correct about the bottom being in 2023, somewhere down in this range, you guys know I have targets from 3,500 to 5,000, I think, in 2023. There is some stuff in the charts that show it could even go lower than that. And usually when people believe things are impossible for Bitcoin, that's when they start. And guys, I don't think the bottom is going to be in until people quit calling the bottom and saying the bottom is in. That's usually how Bitcoin works. Let's take a look at, and that's not being negative, that's trying to help you out. So this is how we tracked this whole move. I called the top. If you guys were around back here in, I think it was March 26th or March 16th, you can go back and look for my video. We were right around the 54,000 range. I told you 64 would be a top, great place to short, boom, 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 boom. We actually called these waves. I did think it'd go a little lower. Nevertheless, I did tell people the middle of June, look for a bounce, which we got. And I told you it would be a bear trap rally. A lot of people don't like to consider this a bear trap rally, but it was a big correction wave. I told you exactly what to look for. ABC correction while people were calling for 100K back here and we dumped. And I told you everyone would be calling for 100K again in this. And look what happened. Look where we are. I was not being negative. I was showing people what to watch for. Those that listened, or, you know, I don't want to say listen because I'm not telling you what to do, but those that are learning and start to look at these charts, hopefully saved you a lot of money, but made you a lot of money if you are trading and shorting. And people say, you're crazy to short Bitcoin in these areas. Well, when it bounces good, I think it's a great opportunity to short because we are in a macro downtrend. Don't trade against the trend. So let's take a look at the next thing we had here. Looked at this as a bear flag. We also called this top here at 48. We called this one here at 34. And the other day, if you follow me on Twitter, I told you 24.5 was where I put in my last short. I am still in that. I just have my stop losses at break even. I'm going to ride that out. If it does get broken, then I'll just look for another short. So anyways, our target from breaking that gets us down to about the 7,600. Obviously, our first target I showed you was just the width of this channel, which we hit perfectly. And I told you once this broke, this was going to be our next resistance level, because that's what happens when the measured move hits. They should be major support. Once they break, they become major resistance. Now, if you guys are interested in trading before we get into the smaller time frames, definitely check out Prime XBT. Links are down below. You can use my promo code Savvy50. That'll get you up to a $7,000 bonus. Savvy25 will get you 25% off your fees. You can trade Forex, gold, silver, oil, S&P, Dow Jones, crypto, everything, all from one exchange. Definitely check them out if you haven't already. All right, let's take a look at, this is the 4 hour. So we're looking at this kind of wedge right here. I wouldn't call this a triangle. I'd call it a wedge in the RSI. Looking for another tap to the downside. And we talked about this weeks ago that we could bounce around in here for quite some time before, so we might be in here for months. And in the next chart, I'll show you, well, actually, right here is what it could look like if that happens. I drew this in here. If we do get a bounce at that 17.7, which again, I'm going to show you a chart that shows we may not get a bounce there. But if we were to, I would expect it to bounce around there for a little while, come back up once we break it, test it for resistance, and then head down to our lower levels. Now, I don't think this is going to be the bottom if this happens. I think this is going to be a false bottom. We'll talk about that here when we look at the Amazon compared to Bitcoin chart. And I'm going to show you something else in that chart that may scare a lot of you, but all it is opportunity. So let's take a look at this 4 hour chart. This is what I wanted to point out. So right here, this blue line here was our target. Once we got our bounce here, once we broke that, we came down and broke that low. Everybody was calling this the bottom. We broke that low. We dropped 23%, right? And then got a bounce here, which was our target. And everybody got super bullish again. This was the bottom. And what happened? We broke it. Didn't even get a bounce. Just like here, didn't even get a bounce. Now, if you're looking at it in small time frames, it bounced around there for a little while. But I'm talking about the big picture. We did not get no big bounce here. We didn't get no big bounce here. Broke right through. And this is where that line would be now. Let's zoom in. That would be at 17.5, where everyone expects the bottom and a bounce. But when this breaks, it could get ugly. If it went this one went 30%, the one before went 23. So let's say 27%, that would get us down to around 12 to 13,000 before a bounce. And then what do? We may get a bounce back up to 17,000 again before coming down. So this is going to take weeks and weeks, possibly months to occur, to happen if this plays out. And I believe this will be the false bottom. And why do I say that? I will show you here in a minute. But right now, what we're looking at here is there's no reason to be bullish unless we break this top trend line, which if it happened in the next couple of days would be around 25.6, and hold and get support with at least 4 hours above that. Then, like I said, then you could look for our 28 to 31,000 range. If that does happen, this will be a great opportunity to short, in my opinion. Now, where are we at now? Let's look at the RSI. We can draw some trend lines in here. So you drew some trend line on the 4 hour here. A break of this, we are coming back down to possibly this 21.3 level. And if we zoom in over here, I didn't show you that last time, but we've had this target here for quite some time, around that 22.1, 22.2 range. That is the center of this rising channel. That would be an area for a bounce if we're going to get one. If not, if we break below, then this becomes resistance. But at any time, if we break this, let's say within the next couple weeks, we break this 20,000 range, then start looking for that 17.5. Like I said, that may break. So anyways, these are the targets, looking at this as a rising broadening wedge. If we do break this 21 or sorry, 20,100, 20,200, depending on how long it takes to get here. We break this bottom trend line. Our next target's going to be around that 14. And then, of course, our 75 to 8,500 range. All right, let's take a look at the Bitcoin to Amazon comparison chart. This was Amazon in the .com bubble, right? This is where I showed you in the video the other day. I think we are somewhere in this area looking to get possibly another lower low. Now that would be that, let's say $12,000 to $15,000 range, right? All the timing on this and everything is just eerily similar, guys. So I'm going to show you what I think is going to occur. Sometime towards the end of this year, we get our bottom at 75 to 8,500, somewhere in that range. Make sure you follow the channel. We'll be keeping up on it. Make sure your notification bells are ticked too. A lot of people said they're not getting notified of the videos, so make sure you tick those notification bells. So what will this look like? So I think we're going to get a false bottom, going to get a big rally. Everybody, even most of you listening, will get super bullish here. You'll believe it's the bottom because everybody will be talking about it. And then sometime in 23, it's going to reverse and come back down to the lows of 37,000-ish range. I do also have a target that says it could go to 1,200. Do I think that's going to happen? Not pressed about it, but it's possible. So anyways, so what happens here maybe would be a good time, 75 to 85, because everybody's going to believe that's the bottom. Most 99% of people, right? So buy the bottom or buy that area. And if it is the bottom, then you're good. You're in there. But ride it up, maybe put some stops in or plan on some areas. Once it gets there, we'll watch how it's bouncing. Plan on some areas. You'll probably most likely make some good money there. But that doesn't mean it's the bottom. So just, let's say it bounces at 7,500, right? So if that was where you were buying in, you bought in at 75 or 8,500, whatever range, just tell yourself if it gets above 10,000, it goes to 11 or 12, then say if it gets back to 10, I'm selling. I'm going to take some profit, because what happens, most people will buy here, hold it, and then it'll come back down. Once that breaks, then they sell at a loss. That's how markets work. So just be careful and watch for this. This trend line is going to be huge. You can see when we broke out here, that was our false bottom for the Amazon chart. And I've showed that happen in Nintendo, Sony, some other charts. When bubbles pop, this is the pattern they make. So once it breaks out of here, I've drawn this in there. This is what I'm going to be looking for. Everyone's going to get bullish because it breaks this long-term trend line just like this did right here. And then it comes back up a few months later, comes down, retests it, and boom, that was the bottom when it actually retests. Will that play out that way? Who knows? But I'm going to be watching it. We've been tracking this for over a year. It's been playing out beautifully. I'm going to continue to. So now let's look at what happened in Amazon here afterwards. We shrink this all down. Took Amazon 10 years to break all-time high, but you see what happens here? Once you got that bottom, it was just an awesome place to buy. You got a huge rally here, which everyone thinks Bitcoin's gonna, hit a new all-time high in 2024, 2025. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think we're gonna see something like this. If we shrink this down, we draw it in over here. Let's just draw it in and see what it looked like. So what would it look like in Bitcoin? And again, this doesn't have to play out exact, but this is how bottoms really happen. It'll be years of just, something like this, come up, maybe that 40,000 range, somewhere in there, then psych everyone out, another 4-year cycle bear market, and then come back up. And then ultimately, sometime in 2030, somewhere in there, break the all-time high. And then what happened after that? Just massive, massive rally. I think that is possible for Bitcoin. But first, you need to wash out all these altcoin crap scams, just like over here, the .com bubble had to wash out all those. I've been saying this since I made this comparison on December 2nd. Literally nobody was talking about it or showing this comparison chart. I even talked about it when I made the video that eventually everybody would be talking about it and claim they made it. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah. So this is where I'm at, guys. I still believe this to be playing out unless the macro tells me different. So thanks for watching. Don't forget, smash those thumbs up. Leave your comments down below. Give me a follow on Twitter. Join our Discord. All the links are down below. Definitely check out the links below because those are all trusted links by myself. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'm out of here.